Good morning to all of you. Uh, previously we are talking about the statistics and the details of those of the topics. And now moving forward, our next topic for discussion is measure of dispersion, movements, skewness, and kurtosis. So this is also a part of statistics. This is also a part of statistics. Now we are in the state of module 2. So the statistics part and these particular things are in the part of module 2. So here, what is the thing is actually that measure of dispersion, moments, skewness, and kurtosis. So what is this measure of dispersion actually? So here, an example is given that sometimes when two or more different data sets are to be compared using measuring of some central tendency or some average. So we will get the same result. So we will get the same result. So it is saying that measure of dispersion that while working on a data set, while working one, two or more than two data set, we compare those particular data. We compare those particular data and sometimes we find out that the average or the mean or the central tendency of those data are the same, are almost same. Okay. So the result of the mean of those particular data or the central tendency of those particular data looking similar, are looking similar, or the value is almost same or maybe same. So here an example is given that run score of two batsmen. This is a run score of two batsmen. That is the batsman A and batsman B. Batsman A and batsman B. And the run of batsman A are following by 30, 91 means as per his innings, the batsman A has scored this runs in his innings and batsman B has scored this run in this innings, in his career innings actually. So here two data sets of the batsman of two batsmen is given. Two data sets of two batsmen is given and we calculate or find out the mean of those particular data. Find the mean of those particular data. So we will get the same result such as 53. So you will get the same result such as 53. So batsman A, the data sets of batsman A or the run data set of batsman A after averaging or making a central tendency from those particular data, we are getting a value of 53 and same goes for batsman B, the value is 53. Now our question is given here that whether we can say the performance of these two players are same. So now we are going to measure the performance. Who is actually a better batsman or who is actually a reliable batsman whose performance is better. So by looking at those particular data or getting an average from those particular data, which is almost same or similar, which is almost same or similar, can we make any decision? Can we provide any result that yes, this is a particular this batsman is very good or this batsman is not so good? Because the average in both cases are same. The average in both the cases are same, such as 53. So by this particular data, by calculating some central tendency or the average, we cannot decide anything. We cannot decide anything because by measuring the central tendency or the mean, we are getting the value same means the both the batsmen are all same. The both the batsmen, the performance of both the batsmen are same. But whereas it is not true actually. So how to achieve that? How to decide that who is a better batsman? So now we will look for the data. We will look inside the data. So we were looking inside the data. So the highest and lowest score of batsman A, the highest and lowest score of batsman A is 117 and 0. So the highest score of batsman A is 117 and lowest score of batsman A is 0. Whereas as the case scenario in batsman B, the highest score is 60 and the lowest score is 46. The lowest score is 46. Now we are going to plot this particular data. We are going to plot this particular data of batsman A and batsman B. So we are going to plot. So after plotting the data, after plotting the data of batsman A and batsman B in a single simple straight line, we are getting something. We are getting some dot point plot value. We are getting some dot point plot value where we can see the batsman A from starting to 0 to 120. The lowest score is 0 and highest score is 117. And in for batsman B, the lowest score is 46 and highest score is 60. So the density or the depth for batsman B is much more than batsman A because batsman A have score always 0 and also have 100. But whereas batsman B in every innings, his career, his performance is quite good, almost in the range of 40 to 60, almost in the range of 40 to 60 in every match. So now we can decide. Now after plotting the data, after looking more inside the data, so after doing some research on the particular data, now we can decide that batsman B is a good performer. Batsman B is a good performer or a reliable performer, we can say, because in every match he is consistent batsman. The batsman B is a consistent batsman. He provides a suitable run. So we can more reliable on batsman B. So now we can decide. So every time we cannot decide by looking into the central tendency or the mean or the average because maybe the average are same, maybe the run average are same, but whose performance is better? To measure that particular thing, we need to check the individual data. And how to do that? We can easily do that by making some plot. So after putting the values in a single simple statement, we are achieving that batsman B has a more depth in batting. So batsman B has a good performance or good reliability option. So this is the thing that where we are looking into the data, more into the data and checking the value, checking the each value of the data. And we are then deciding, we are looking into the additional information, we are checking the lowest and highest value, we are checking they are checking the depth range, we are checking the range of the particular value. Now we are deciding that what is the better performance. So how will the thing goes that we are dispersing the data. We are scattering the data. So spreading out the data in more numbers in a plotting way and uh, making without making the central tendency, not looking into the central tendency, we are going for the single value. We are checking the single value for each time by scattering, by comparison of each of the values by dispersing the values. So this is called the process of measure of dispersion. This is called the process of measure of dispersion. Measure of dispersion. So this is called the measure of dispersion where the value is we are scattering, we are plotting the value, and then we are deciding, we are looking into the depth, we are looking inside the value, and then we are deciding something. So this is called a process of measurement of dispersion. So this measurement of dispersion, we can say the spreading of the value that exists between the value of data is called the dispersion. The spreading of the value, the variability of the value that exists between the value of a data is called the dispersion. It's called a dispersion. Or in another term, we can say the extent to which the observations are spread around an average is called dispersion or scatter. Is called dispersion or scatter. So the extent to which the observation are spread around an average is called dispersion or scatter. So these are the ways that by which we can actually do this dispersion or measuring the central tendency. The central tendency is measured by mean, median, this particular thing by which we can measure the central tendency. So the two importance, there are the two importance of measure of distributions or types of measures of dispersion are these: the absolute measure of dispersion and relative measure of dispersion. Absolute measure of dispersion and relative measure of dispersion. So two ways or two methods are there for absolute measure of dispersion and relative measure of dispersion. So what is absolute measure of dispersion is saying that an absolute measure of dispersion measures the variability in terms of the same units of the data. So here the thing is that the data, the unit of the data needs to be same. So while we are doing this scattering or while we are dispersing the data in a plotting way, the term absolute measurement of dispersion will be done when the unit of the data in both the data sets, when the unit of the data in both the data sets will be same. So absolute measurement of dispersion measures the variability in terms of the same units of the data. So for every data set, so if there is 2, 3, 4, n number of data sets, the units for n number of data sets needs to be same. We cannot work on the different unit. We cannot work on the different unit in case of absolute measurement of dispersion. In case of absolute measurement of dispersion. So the common absolute measurement of dispersion processes are range, quartile deviation or semi-interquartile range, average deviation or mean deviation, and standard deviation. So these are the common absolute measures of dispersion process, that is the range, standard deviation, mean deviation or interquartile range. So these are the names. And what is the absolute variance measurement of dispersion? Where the units of n number of data, how much data, how many data sets are present, the data sets, the number of data sets units needs to be same. Otherwise, this absolute measurement of dispersion cannot be done. Whereas in the case of relative measurement of dispersion, a relative measurement of dispersion is called what? When the variability of two or more data are independent in the terms of unit, in the terms of units of measurement. So here the units for n number of data are may be different or are different. Okay. So absolute means the units needs to be same, and relative measurement of variative dispersion means that the unit are difference. The unit of measurements are difference. So a relative measure of dispersions compare the variability of two or more data that are independent in the units of measurement. So here the units are independent. The units may not be same. So a relative measure of dispersion expresses the absolute measure of dispersion relative to the relevant average and multiply 1,000 times. So here we can convert the thing that a relative measure can be converted or expresses the absolute measure of dispersion relating to the relevant average. So after getting some average from the absolute measurement, then maybe we can considering on the averages, then we can do this relative measurement of dispersion. So the relative measurement of dispersion, for doing the relative measurement of dispersion, first the data sets average. The average of the data sets need to be prepared. The average of the data sets needs to be prepared, and then we can do this relative measurement of dispersion. So these are the means expression. We can say that for relative dispersion, that absolute dispersion by the average into 100, absolute dispersion by the average, or the absolute dispersion by average into 100. So this is a pure number and independent of the unit. So while we are making some average, it will be independent of the unit. So while we are making the average, we know that if we are making the average, then it is independent of the units in which the data has been expressed. So it is used for the purpose of computer to compare and the dispersion of a data with the dispersion of another data. So this is a simple mathematical expression. In the term of statistics, the relative dispersion is absolute dispersion by average into 100 by average into 100. Okay. So in your syllabus, these particular topics of statistics are present where the numericals, a lot of numericals can be done. A lot of numerical problem were present. So these things or these formulas need to be remembered carefully because the problems may come and just we need to put this particular formula to express out that particular thing, to express out or to compute the result of those particular thing, because statistics is a important part in the case of data science, and we need to know this particular types or terms or the processes for statistics that is applicable also in the data science, that is also applicable in the data science. So the common relative measures of dispersions are, that is some examples are given or some processes are given, that coefficient of dispersion or coefficient of range, coefficient of variance, coefficient of quartile deviation and coefficient of mean deviation. So in the case of absolute deviation, in the case of absolute measurement of disbursement with dispersion, we are getting that the range, the quarter, semi interquartile range, the mean deviation and the standard deviation, while in the case of absolute relative dispersion, while in the case of relative dispersion we are getting that coefficient of range, coefficient of quartile deviation, coefficient of mean deviation and coefficient of standard deviation, coefficient of standard deviation. So what is the differences between absolute and relative measurement of dispersion? What is the differences are present? So the major difference we can talk about is that the absolute measure of dispersion measures only the, so in the process of absolute dispersion, the absolute measurement of dispersion measures only the variability of the data. It is just measuring the variability of the data and it has the unit of the measurement. So we are getting a value in the unit. So we are not looking for the average and this particular thing. The units are present there. We are plotting the data. We are then finding out some particular variability on the particular data. But while in the case of relative dispersion, while in the case of relative dispersion, we are actually comparing, we are actually finding out some average and there is no particular unit. So it is a unitless distribution, unitless dispersion we can say. Now, while looking into the data and the dispersion of the data in or the data sets, actually we are looking for some range. We are looking for some range. So what is the range? We all know this, what is the range, because in the class 11 12 mathematical part this particular terms are present. So what is the range? The range means the lowest value and the highest value, the boundations or the differences between the lowest and the highest value, the largest and the smallest value is a set of data is called a range. So it's called a range. The difference between the largest and the smallest value in a set of data is called a range. So if we are looking back into that particular example that is given there, that is the data sets of batsman A and batsman B, the data sets of batsman A and batsman B. So if we need to find out the range, if we need to find out the range of for batsman A and batsman B, so what is the range? The range for batsman is 0 to 120 we can say, because the highest value is here 117. So the range is 0 to 120 because the highest value for batsman A is 117, or maybe we can say 0 to 117. This is the range for batsman A, and for batsman B it is the range from, we can talk about 40 to 60 because the highest value 60 and the lowest value is 46, or otherwise we can say the range between is 46 to 60. So the largest number and the smallest number, this is the difference between this particular thing is called the range. The difference between this particular thing is called the range. So what is the formula for the range? As we have talked about the differences between largest and the smallest value. So by the largest term is defined by x x suffix m, and the lowest term is defined by x suffix 0. So r is the largest value minus smallest value. The simple formula is for calculating this range is the largest value minus the smallest value. So xm is the largest value and x0 is the smallest value. So these are the equations we need to remember. So while performing some task, maybe some new mega problems have come. So we need to find out this particular range. So by putting the simple following expression to calculate the range, we will get the value. Then the topic of discussion is that coefficient of range and the coefficient of dispersion. So the coefficient of range or coefficient of dispersion is a relative measure of dispersion and is given by xm minus x0 by xm plus x0 by xm plus x0. So coefficient of range or coefficient of dispersion in a relative measure or relative measure of dispersion is given by xm minus x0 by xm plus x0, the difference between the largest and the smallest value and the total number of the largest and smallest value. The differences between the largest and the smallest value and by divided by the total number or addition of the largest and the smallest value. So this is called the coefficient of range. We are finding the coefficient of range, and coefficient of range, the formula for getting it, that the largest and the differences between largest and the smallest value divided by the addition of the largest and the smallest value. So this is called the coefficient of range or coefficient of dispersion. Coefficient of range or coefficient of dispersion. So here some numerical examples are given for the range, and coefficient of range is there. So we can look at the data set where the value of 9 students are given. So 9 students, the value for the 9 students have given for a particular subject. Okay, suppose the subject is xi and the numbers are given 45, 32, 37, 46 up to dot 36. So 9 values are present there. So 9 values are present there for a particular subject and for those particular students. Now we need to find out the range. So what is the range? What is the minimum value present here? We can see what is the minimum value present here. We can see the minimum value we can see here, that is 32. The minimum value is present here, that is our 32. And what is the highest value we can see here? The highest value we can see here, that is the value of 48. So minimum value 32, largest value 48. So what is the formula for range? The formula for range is that differences between largest and the smallest value. So largest value is 48, smallest value is 32. So what is the range? 48 minus 32, that is the 16. 48 minus 32, that is the 16. So this is the simple example for finding out the range. Just find out the largest and the smallest value and the range will automatically be calculated, and the range will automatically be calculated. Next, talking about the coefficient of range. So what is the formula for coefficient of range or coefficient of dispersion? That is the differences between the largest and the smallest value divided by the addition of the largest and the smallest value. So in our from our previous output, we have displayed, or we are getting an output that the differences between largest and the smallest value is 16. So we need to calculate just the addition of the largest and the smallest value. So putting the formula of coefficient of range, that r equal to xm minus x0 divided by xm plus x0. So xm minus x0 for the value is 16, and xm plus x0 we need to calculate the addition of 48 plus 32. 48 plus 32, which will be 80. So 16 by 80. 16 by 80, the coefficient of range or coefficient of dispersion will be 0.2. It will be 0.2. 0.2. So this value is 0.2 is called the coefficient of range or this coefficient of dispersion. So simple example or simple numerical example of range and coefficient of range is given. Coefficient of range is given here. So any doubt or any up to this, whatever the discussion we have, any doubts or anyone have any type of query? So we have talked about the range or the coefficient of range. Now, for the next part, that is the quartile deviation or the semi-interquartile range. Semi-interquartile range. So, it is half of the difference between the highest value and the lowest value is called the semi-interquartile range or quartile deviation. So, here the difference between the largest and the smallest value needed and then dividing it by 2, that is called the formula for quartile deviation. So half of the difference between the upper quartile and the lower quartile is called the semi interquartile range, is called the semi interquartile range or the quartile deviation or the quartile deviation. So the formula is that quartile deviation is the Q largest minus Q minimum. So Q largest minus Q minimum, the half of the difference between the upper quartile and lower quartile divided by 2. Divided by 2. And coefficient goes for same. The addition as a difference between the upper quartile and the lower quartile by the addition of the upper quartile and the lower quartile. The coefficient of quartile deviation is a relative measure of dispersion and is given. So it is a relative measure of dispersion. So again, the same thing is present here. So here another numerical example for this particular semi-interquartile range or quartile deviation is present. Quartile deviation is present. So we can see there is a data set is present and there are non-marked students of 9 is given. So if you need to finding out the semi-interquartile range, again the formula that the largest upper quartile or the smaller quartile divided by 2. So the upper quartile will be 48 and the smaller quartile will be 32. We know that. So the term is given. Some network issue is happening and for that it is reconnecting again and again. Okay. So thing is that here a little bit that the range of this quartile deviation or the thing is the dispersion is given by the Q3 minus Q1 by 2. So Q3 means the quartile, the upper quartile, and the Q1 means the lower quartile. So this is the difference between the previous one. In the previous one, in the dispersion is that it is the difference between the largest value and the smallest value. But here then it is not the largest value. It is not between the largest value and or not between the smallest value. It is not between the largest and the smallest value. It is some quartile. So for that particular thing, we need to check out that whether the data sets are odd number or the even number. So we need to look for the data sets. We need to check out the data sets that whether it is in an odd number data set or it is an even number data set. So if we from the given particular things we can see that the data sets is are actually a 9. So the value of data set is 9 actually means it is an odd number of data sets. So finding out the particular odd number of data sets, first we need to check out the quartile and from that we are getting something that value that is of marks obtained by the n by 4. So n is here 9. So 9 by 4. So particular some value again we are getting plus 1 of the students. So that is the number of students we are getting. So the value of Q1 and Q3 here we are obtaining by this particular think the quartile. We are obtaining the value from this quartile, that is the 36 and 45, and then the quartile deviation is particularly. So this is a complex particular thing here. A complexity is, we can see that between the quartile and the range. This is a quartile and a particular range we are obtaining, because here from this particular data set, if we just looking for the largest and highest value, the largest value is 46, sorry, the 48, and the lowest value is 32. But it is not about being the largest and smallest value. It is naturally just justifying some quartile. Okay, so this is bit of particularly confusion. So I will make it clear once more again. So I will look into the thing, the quartile, and how this particularly range are actually obtaining, and how this quartile deviations we are getting. How this quartile deviations we are getting. Okay, so this is the thing we need to look for, and I'm going to skip this particular part, and I will learn this thing. I will again repeat this particular part again for you people, because I need to know this particular thing quartile, because this is also a new thing that I have seen here in the quartile deviation part. So I will also look for this particular thing, and then I will make it clear to you people also. So these are new thing, they are the quartile deviation. Okay, so that's why I'm just skipping this particular part. So now here the calculating the quartile deviation and the coefficient of quartile deviation for continuous group of data. So if we are looking for the table and look for the table, we can see that previously the things or the terms is actually we have seen this particular thing in the scenario of class 12, or in the in the particular problem of these groups or graph charts actually. Okay, so some class boundaries are given, some midpoints are given, some frequencies are given, and the cumulative frequencies are given. So we need to calculate the quartile frequency. So summation of f is present here. So we have calculated the summation of f, and we need to calculate the cumulative frequency. We need to calculate the cumulative frequency for this particular problem. So here the for this particular thing is of this particular quartile, we are need to find out that calculate the quartile deviation and coefficient of quartile from the above result. So we need to look for the data, and we need to find out L, H, F, and those particular thing for every particular value, and then only we can find out this particular thing. So that we need to calculate this. So these type of problems may comes into the scenario. This type of problems where we can find out where the things is present, that find out the quartile deviation, find out the quartile, find out the range, find out the coefficient of quartile deviation or for this particular data. So this type of numerical problems maybe pop up into the questions or in the semester question. So these are the important things or important terms also. So I will just for this, for the time being, the quartile or this particular lower and upper quartile, the scenario for this will I am skipping because there is a confusion, and I will just make it clear for myself first, and then I will make a discussion with you people also. Okay. Now coming to the next part, that is the mean absolute deviation or mean deviation, or the thing is the average deviation. So the mean deviation or mean absolute deviation or average deviation is called that by the arithmetic mean of the absolute deviation from an average is called the mean deviation, and the average deviation. So the arithmetic mean of the absolute deviation from an average, mean, median is called the mean deviation or the average deviation or the average deviation. So the formula for the grouped and ungrouped data. So there are two scenarios where the thing is that it might be ungrouped data or it might be a group data. So for the ungrouped data, the mean deviation for the ungrouped data, we can talk about that MD equal to summation of xi minus x bar by n. And for the grouping data, that f of xi by x bar divided by n. And for the MD or for median, there is a one formula for mean and another for the median. For the mean, the ungrouped data and group data, two formulas are present. And for the median, there are two formulas are present. For the median, there are two formulas are present. So the formulas for each of the term we can see that is the MD for mean is that summation of xi minus x bar divided by n, and for this is for ungrouped data, and for group data that is the f of summation of f xi by x bar divided by n, and same for the median, that is for the summation of xi minus median first, and then the divided by the number of data sets n, and for group data again the xi by minus median. So there is a summation of f is present, the total frequency summation of frequency is also present there for the particularly grouping data. For in the group data, because in the grouping data we can find out that how much data sets are how many numbers are present, how many data sets or data numbers are present. So that's why in the case of grouping data we are actually using that particularly summation of f, particularly summation of f. So coefficient of mean deviation will be again there for the given value is actually that MD for mean by divided by mean. So the mean deviation from the mean by divided by the mean. So a mean deviation for if will be group data, then formula will be used for this particular, and if it is ungrouped data, then we will find out the value. So dividing by the value and then by divided by the mean in the case of mean, coefficient of mean, and for the coefficient of median, it will be divided by the median. It will be divided by the median. So this is the simple thing.